One thing that I was familiar with, I got a bunch of like bed sheets and pillowcases and curtains and all kinds of like more so upholstery kind of things that could give me like cheap fabric because I didn't have a lot of money. I'm a college student, pretty much dropped now, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't really going to
Right.
work because I was in this depression. So it was just like I really made it happen. And so in 2 months, I had created a 23 look collection.
Ooh.
Baby, when I tell you, I was the only person that was not in the College of Textiles, and I won first place in the entire competition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dream Leapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole, and today is a very special day. We are in the midst of New York Fashion Week. This is an exciting time when the people who are in the know, the people who are in the industry or trying to be in the industry, are working to be in the mix. And there are lots of activities going on, lots of opportunity to see what designers are offering for their next season's collection, and also to see and be seen because so many people are out and about. So my team and I have been going to a few shows already, and we have in particular met up with some interesting people. We went to the Blue Jacket fashion show that the designer Frederick Anderson has put together for the past 10 years. And it's a benefit for bringing awareness to men about their prostate and prostate care. We met the person we're interviewing today at that show, although we've met him on TV as well. And then we saw him at HFR, Harlem's Fashion Row event that was a Black History Month celebration. There were all these Black vendors selling at Macy's, and he was in the mix there. And then he invited us to Red Rooster, the iconic restaurant uptown that has a little area now where they do special events, and he did his own pop-up. So who I'm talking about is Joseph McRae. He is a fashion designer. He's a personality. He's a whole lot of things, but he's known for his bold and striking fashion designs that blur the lines of masculinity and femininity. You may know him from the last season of Project Runway. He was on there doing his thing. He is a force to be reckoned with. Originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, Joseph took an unconventional path to the New York fashion scene. A lot of people don't get there straight. Formerly trained as an electrical engineer, he's self-taught as a designer. So Joseph marries technical precision and fierce creativity to develop each and every one of his designs. His eponymous brand reminds people to take up space unapologetically, to use fashion as a form of self-expression, and never to shrink to fit in. Joseph's collections are reflective of his authenticity, vision, and fluidity. And he has used his love for fashion and understanding of design to create a space where he could thrive without bounds. So today he's going to be talking to us about his journey, his design philosophy, and what it means to show up boldly, especially during a week when the whole world is watching fashion closely. Please join me in welcoming Joseph McRae.
Hello, everyone. Oh
No.
my goodness. Look at me. Okay, you ate that down. I gotta give you that. I'm like, I gotta record that. Use that for the next one.
Well,
How are
you
you?
deserve it all. You show up with so much enthusiasm, and I think that is contagious in the best possible way. You have a smile on your face. It is genuine. You are enjoying every moment, and especially in times like these, Joseph, we don't always see that. We see a lot of
Oh,
complaints, and you are not complaining. You're smiling.
uh,
What
uh.
what makes you smile?
I don't know. I guess my journey and my path to my design is just really like my life and being able to express that and use my gift to spread love. So when I'm able to step into myself wholly and to allow myself to take up the space that I deserve, it's just a feeling. And I hope that in me doing that, I would inspire other people to do it. It's like, it's enough sadness and craziness in the world for you to be bringing that up to yourself.
Exactly. You're from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
a beautiful town. I've been to Charlotte. It's really pretty, and it's also the South and conservative. And those are
Uh,
that I don't look at you and see conservative. What was it like for you to grow up in a place that is decidedly Southern? You know, what was your environment like growing up, and how did you fit in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, family dynamic was great. I have a really big family. That's what I love about the South. I have an older sister, younger brother, and then my father had two brothers, and they have family, and they have family. But in connection to the brand, the South is very conservative, and it's very one-sided and single-minded in a sense. And so, for me, that's why my brand mission is what it is to blur the line between masculinity and femininity, to create a safe space for daunting creativity and expression, because that was a challenge for me growing up as being an African American male in the South, honoring my femininity. And we're not talking about sexuality, but just the natural feminine aura and essence, which resonates with Joseph McRae now. And so for a long time within my life, I lived my life in efforts to appease other people. And so, you know what I'm saying, I stayed out of trouble. I went to school, got good grades. That's how I ended up with a degree in electrical engineering. Went to one of the top engineering schools in the country. And something that was definitely prevalent around the turning of times, because this was before like AI and all of this stuff even really, really hit the scene. So it was a great trajectory. But at one point, I looked around and I was just like, okay, this is not my life. Like, I'm doing everything everybody wants me to do, and I'm doing it great, and I'm doing it well, and it is able to sustain, but it just didn't sustain me. And so when I made that hop from engineering into creating, it was just like, oh my goodness.
Okay, before we get there, because I don't want to go too fast. I want
Yeah.
because grow up has a huge impact on who they become.
Mhm.
And so I want to also go into something I don't always say about people, but in your case, it is important. You are really tall. Like you take up a lot of space. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3", and I don't think
Okay.
people
You
realize that when
carry
they see
taller.
it.
You carry taller
Well, it
with
could be
that
the hat
hat.
too. That's about the stack meaning. It's about a solid 5 to 6 inches. So
Okay, 'cause
we talking
you
about
me
six
more
nine.
like 6'6", and I'm tall. You have a big presence, and while you weren't always that tall, I know you always had a big presence. And so,
Mhm.
growing up in a Southern Black family with a big presence, as you say, kind of playing with the feminine side of you, uh, sometimes that had to not be received well. How did you manage when just your presence had an impact? And as a young man, you're like, wait a minute. What we often experience is, who do you think you are, young man? Did you have that at all? And if you did, how did you manage? How did you navigate? Be coming into your full self in an environment that may have been more conservative than you.
Well, I would say that transition for me happened a lot later in my life. So when we look at the development and the me as a child and what that looked like in the growing stages, it was very much so of like, okay, if I speak this way, then I know people are going to think this about me. So let me try to adjust the way that I speak or how I say things. If I sit like this, I know they're going to think something. So let me consciously sit like this. If I dress like this, or if I try to hit with the trends of what's going on now, then maybe people would look at me another way. And that's what a lot of my childhood was. So it wasn't
It was
necessarily
like
trying to
fitting in.
fight.
It was
Yeah,
fitting in.
it was
Okay.
fitting in, not necessarily standing out. Which, if you have something in you, it's hard to disguise it in a sense, in the face of just your energy and your aura. Like I've always been Joseph McRae, but at times I would try to disguise myself. So that was more so a
Okay.
lot of my childhood. Yeah.
That makes sense. And I mean, by the way, that's true for a whole lot of people, whatever their identity is. I'm from Baltimore, and I've always been into fashion. And I remember I left to go to college and then moved to New York. And I came home at one point, and yeah, I grew up in a pretty conservative community. And one of my mother's friends said, What do you have on, girl? You bringing New York back with you? You're from Baltimore. What are you doing bringing New York back with you? And whatever it wasn't so flamboyant, but it was definitely not the style of my hometown. And this lovely woman made it clear to me, you coming up here different, you better put your Baltimore back on. So
Uh-oh.
we know this. I mean, this is part of evolution, right? And part of evolution is coming into yourself and figuring out, okay, here's how I'm similar to the people I grew up with. Here may be something that's different. So I get your point that it was an evolution for later. So talk to me about electrical engineering. I mean, that is a head that, see, I'm the writer. I'm on the creative side. I did get A's in math, but only because I studied really hard. But I don't really understand that world. What intrigued you about engineering?
Well, I love math and I love numbers. And I guess you would say I'm like left and right brained. But even aside with the kind of the creation of it, I used to love to build and like break things apart. There was this brand of toys like Connects. And so I would like build like full amusement parks, and they had like roller coaster kits. They're kind of like a different version of a Lego. So I've always been like a creator in that space. And so once we got into like the education of it, then like math, I love numbers. So it just kind of went hand in hand. I originally wanted to be like a Disney Imagineer so I could like
Okay.
merge like the design and the like the amusement of it from like the roller coasters and the rides and stuff, and then the technical as well too, even though there is like a heavily design aspect of it. But I've always been good with this. So it's just like as I was in school, I'm not gonna say it was a walk in the park because it was tough, but I was able to sustain it because that was a very much a part of me, even though I was doing it for someone else. But like I'm great with math and numbers and the
So where did
techniques
you
of
go to
it.
school?
North Carolina State University, Wolfpack. Yeah.
Very good school, very good school. And so you actually did become an electrical engineer, right?
No.
You didn't go that far. You
Baby,
studied
I
it.
got the degree and I got out of there. I finished what I started. That was
You checked
it.
off the box. Nobody could say you didn't do it.
Boom.
And so after you invest all this time and effort and money, all these resources into getting this degree, what happened?
So right before I graduated, I hit a like deep depression.
Mm,
And it was a super dark place for me because it was like I had done all of the things like I was saying earlier. I was the poster child of like, you know what I'm saying? I was the first grandson. I was like the eldest son of like my immediate family. Like first male to go to college, black in the South. I stayed out of trouble. I had pretty much straight A's through school, going to a great university for a great program. I had a great like GPA in it. And then they like, it's already go to school, stay out of trouble, get a degree, now go start your life. Go to work and do your things. And it's just like, what is my life? Because I've done everything that everybody else has told me to do. And so now when I'm supposed to make a decision for myself of like what's going to sustain me and what's going to fulfill me is not this because I've cultivated this space to appease you. And
mm,
that was like a really, really dark place for me because it's just like, I think I was 24, maybe turning into 25 because I had went for a couple years and then I like took a gap and then I had like went back to finish it. And it was just like, this isn't me. I don't see
mm,
myself doing this every day. I don't see myself around these people that are in this network that I have been working in for so long. It just wasn't it. And one of my friends, she was the president of a student-led organization, the African American Textile Society. And she was like, Joseph, like you should enter this competition. Now, This is like multi-layered because I've always, once again, I've been Joseph McRae, so I always had my own like sense of style. I wasn't designing my clothes from scratch. I was doing like a little upcycle here and there occasionally. And so when people saw me, they thought I was like in the school of design, but I'm like, no, I'm an engineer. And like, yeah. Once again, I'm sitting in the class, big jacket, and everybody else is looking around like, okay.
Who is
um,
he?
exactly? Who is he?
Who is he?
um,
Right?
and in that moment it was very, very much a saving grace because she had no idea the impact that had on me, nor did she know where I was in that moment. And so
She
I
just
just
knew what you
decided.
looked like. She saw your
She just
style and
knew.
knew you should enter this thing.
She knew it. And so
That is
I
so
just like,
beautiful.
let's
Let
go.
me remind folks, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. It is New York Fashion Week, and we are talking with fashion designer Joseph McRae, and he is sharing his journey, and it really is interesting. So listen,
Yes.
y'all. So she was in charge of this society. It was at your school?
hmm It was at the
And
College of Textiles. They have a program.
got it. And so she invited you to enter a contest, and you did.
And I did.
What
I
did you
did.
put in what did you put in the contest? What did you
So
offer?
it's a design competition for like students in or not in the program. And then the winner gets like a scholarship. So I had to create a collection of some sort. And mind you, this was
Oh,
the
so it
first.
couldn't be just one thing, you had to make a collection.
It was a collection. It was
Okay.
a collection. And I was like, I never made anything from scratch, like from flat fabric into something else. I'm like, okay, I don't know about this. But in that moment, it was just like, what do I have to lose? And we when we talk about like chasing your dreams, it sometimes it's that one decision that just like changes everything. Just like literally that one thing. And it sometimes it's not even that hard in the moment. It's just like I just gotta make the decision to do it and then change my life. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna enter the competition. Let's go. Have a sewing
Now,
machine.
you're entering the competition. You weren't someone who made your clothes, but you told me the other day that your mom used to make all your clothes. So you had familiarity with the sewing machine
Yeah,
and but how did you go from I'm going to make a collection to making one?
it just happened. It happened because, to your point, yes, that was definitely a childhood core memory of mine and my mother creating our clothing. But for her, it wasn't necessarily out of a passion, it was out of a necessity. And
Sure.
so I used to see her like up all night making us these clothes, and it would be like, oh, shoot, now. And at the moment, I didn't even really appreciate it because I was young and I was like, oh, I want to get clothes out of the store. But seeing how she used her gift in that moment and out of necessity, and it really kind of started something in me. So it wasn't, I don't want to make it seem like, okay, I was an engineer and out of nowhere, or I just bought a sewing machine and started going. No, I've seen some of the process of creating and doing the things, and I played with her sewing machine, and I would go to the thrift store and like cut stuff up and add a sleeve here, there. So I've done that for years, but I never created anything from bare bones scratch. So this decision, once again, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, I gotta figure out how to sew now. I gotta figure out how to do this, do that. It was just like, alrighty, I'm going to give this thing a try. And so I started from scratch, and it was super beautiful. And it's so crazy when we think of the connection of things because I went to the thrift store. One thing that I was familiar with, I got a bunch of like bed sheets and pillowcases and curtains and all kinds of like more so upholstery kind of things that could give me like cheap fabric because I didn't have a lot of money. I'm a college student, pretty much dropped now, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't really going to work because I was in this depression. So it was just like I really made it happen. And so in 2 months, I had created a 23 look collection.
Oh,
Baby, when I tell you, I was the only person that was not in the College of Textiles, and I won first place in the entire competition.
yay.
And that was the moment. And that was the moment.
That was the turning point, right? Now this was your leap.
This
This
was
was
the
your
leap.
leap.
The first
Mm,
one. Now it's been a
of
lot of leaps,
course.
but that was definitely the first one that just opened my eyes to like this is the thing that I have been missing for. So I've never felt like this. Even when I'm up for hours not getting any sleep, forgetting to eat, like going for out for 1 hour of sleep, then to go to work. If I went and then to come back and then to keep going, it was not easy. So I always want to make that known that people make it seem like, okay, I just did this because it comes. No, work is put in it. But when you love the work, it doesn't feel like work. And I'm able to divulge and sacrifice myself for that. And in that or the craziness and the busy, it's just like, oh my goodness, this is my thing. This is
And
it.
so what happened after that, Joseph? You get first prize. You are acknowledged for your work in a huge way.
Mhm.
This is also a turning point for you because school is ending and it's time for you to do something with your life. What did you do?
So that collection wrote out. That was March of 2015. Yeah, March of 2015. So then that following, I think September, I had did like another. I think how long was it? That one or the next year? Okay, I'm getting the timelines mixed up because baby, it was
Okay,
so
but I
long.
mean,
But
you
after
don't have
that,
to.
I
Yeah.
so when I had did that collection, I had not fully graduated because I had like stopped. That was the beginning of the depression. So once I did the collection, I was still working, but I was just working retail at the Gap. So I continued with the Gap. I kind of rode that wave, and I think I did another collection, whether it was that September or the following year. I think it was that September I did another
Yeah.
collection, entitled Demo Day. And so once again, just not really having a concrete destination. That point, the thought of creating a brand wasn't even a thing. It was really just me creating and like feeling my passion and like thriving in the presence of that passion. And so
Mhm.
opportunity came, SparkCon, there's this little like festival they have a little fashion show, people that saw that, so they were like, you should do this. So I did SparkCon, and that was really cool. And then I was just continuing to work at the Gap. So I guess when we
So
talk
when you
about
participated in SparkCon and these different little things that come along the way, you're showing your work. Are you also able to sell it at all?
no, I never
So
started
so
selling things. It was just pure creation. Like I would
okay.
make this stuff, I would wear some of it. Eventually we had did a lookbook for Tribeca Hayes, which was the first collection I did. And if you have a second, go to josephmccrae.com to check it out. The collection till this day is relevant. Like 10 years ago is some of the stuff that you're seeing on the runway now. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I mean like it really is. So when you have a second, you can go look at it. But yeah, I was
Yes.
just creating. I would take pictures. I would do shows if it need be. I would wear it sometimes and then put it up. Like it would be in boxes in my apartment. That was it. And I had people once I started operating in that, I had some people that were like, okay, can you make me this or could you make me that? Nothing crazy consistent, nothing really on trend with the brand of like, alrighty, this is Joseph McRae. We got a label in it, we got it going.
You weren't
Um,
there yet. You were evolving.
mm-mm. It was just the start of me
Yeah.
trying something different.
And so how did it evolve? Because it's now this is 10 years that you've been uh, designing, and that's a nice amount of time to get a sense of what your style is, what your aesthetic is for the Joseph McRae brand. How
Mhm.
did you develop that over time? Because I understand your point. First, you're just making, you're getting the ideas out, and they come in different ways. And at a certain point, how does it gel to be a look?
Well, that's the beautiful thing, and that's why I'm so appreciative of like my journey and where it has started and where it's going through to get here. Because, like you said, I'm a self-taught designer. I have a degree in electrical engineering. So when I created, it wasn't like, alrighty, this is how we make a shirt. This is my pattern. This is like the basic pattern for a shirt. And I'm going to adjust this, put a little sleeve in this, add a snap. It's like, no, I really started from nothing. So across those 10 years of figuring out how to create myself and not necessarily having any technical training, there are things that I did and like cuts I made and kind of silhouettes that created from the cuts that I made. And even to go back into what I was saying with the first collection, it's super beautiful when I think about the connection because one of the staples of my brand is I work a lot in upholstery fabrics and
Mm.
unconventional fabrics and senses of spaces and shapes. And that directly relates to the first collection I did when I went to the thrift store and I started making stuff out of curtains and stuff like that. And so I think the the process and the development and the refinement of like what Joseph McRae is and what's the staple and what it looks like really has been developed through the stages of me just experimenting and trying different things and what I was going through in the moments of time within that to create and what that meant to me. So it was really like just a trial and error. And I'm really appreciative of the process that I've been, because had I gone to a design school or had I gone to like an official program, I feel like it wouldn't have been different. It wouldn't have been that, because I would have been trained of like, okay, this is how it's done. So I feel like Joseph McRae is so authentic and is so recognizable and is so distinct in the space because it's really like limitless creativity that's been
Love
formed
that.
into this thing.
Do you know the designer Epperson?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We
so
met the first time at an event, but he was there.
at the Blue Jacket.
Was it? No, I
Yeah.
think was that no, somebody had a store opening. Frederick Anderson store opening, and you had
Oh,
on the Epperson
right.
Black.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So that was
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. That's right.
Yeah.
And so Epperson and I are good friends. I've known him for more than 30 years, so a long
Wow.
time. But why I'm bringing him up, if you haven't talked to him, you should. Epperson is also self-taught. And
Oh, I
so
didn't know.
I hadn't talked to him about this particular thing that I'm going to tell you until probably the past year. It's just something that came up. I was in his store and we were looking at some things, and so Epperson is known for deconstruction, that was a movement starting back in the 90s and has continued. But a lot of his work has ties, and things tie rather than button or zip or snap.
Mhm.
And he told me that it's because he never learned how to do a zipper or to do a button. He's self-taught. He didn't learn how to do it. So he's like, I don't have to learn how to do it. Now, I think much like you, he was also on Project Runway years before you.
Uh-huh.
And when he was on there, he had to do something like that. And so he did learn how to do it because the show required it. But he's like, I did it, but that's not my thing. I do ties. And so I love the freedom and the invention that comes. If you don't know how to do one thing, here's another thing you can do. I
Another
love
thing.
it. So
Here's
you
another.
two need to talk to each other because there's tons that you can learn from him. And he is such a generous, generous soul. So that I love it. But I love that self-taught doesn't mean you have limitations,
Mm-mm.
because you can always learn. We live in a society where there's so much to learn. I think that's just really beautiful. So you have been cultivating your creations based
Mhm.
upon what you like, your eye. How would you describe the Joseph McRae collection?
Which one?
Well, you
Just
can
like in a
describe one.
totality?
Well, yeah, like what does your brand represent, and what do you
Mhm.
create?
Okay, well, as my brand mission off the rip is to blur the line between masculinity and femininity, to create a safe space for daunting creativity and expression. So like that's the long phrase of like what we do and why I do it. I create for everyone, but within my creation, one of the key like pillars is the idea of taking up space both figuratively and physically. And it's like being your biggest and boldest self and like how you present and what you present yourself in. So when we look at the different silhouettes, I love like oversized, a little bit more dramatic, maybe playing with the shape of the body and the physical shape of garments. Even like the hat, it's not a beanie, it's like a super big beanie. It's not a jacket, it's a super big jacket. And that is kind of like the core of what Joseph McRae is. And when
Mm,
we show that through like colors and patterns, the stack beanie, we have 10 colors, super, super bright, super over the top. So I think that is like the base of it. Now, if we go into each collection, then each collection has its own story of where I was at that time and how that brought me through what I was going through. And so that's another conversation. But that taking
mhm.
up space is like the biggest thing.
And you mentioned earlier you use unconventional fabrics,
Mhm.
uh, some upholstery fabrics. The pieces when I was at Red Rooster, there's a lot of neoprene. which is a
Mhm.
really interesting. I love the way that neoprene feels. And it also holds shape really beautifully. So first of all, for people who don't know, what is neoprene and why did you choose to use it?
Okay, baby. I don't know the answer to that question. Let me say. Neoprene is a synthetic fabric. I guess people would call it like scuba material if you're not
Right.
familiar with that. So it has like a really nice stretch. I gravitated towards the neoprene because I did the stack beanie first, and I actually just released the full range August of 2025. And so I wanted to do an accompanying top with it, and I was going to do a sweatshirt out of the fleece material as well too. But I'm like, then you have to worry about like hair and stuff or like all of that. So then I shifted to something that could still give you that tech, but still comfy and cozy, but still keep that shape. And the neoprene was what we landed on. And I really love how bold the colors of neoprene are. So it can be like really, really bright, but the sweatshirts are double lined with neoprene, but they're lined with the batting as well too. And like that kind of brings in the upholstery aspect of it as well too to keep that like really, really big shape. And it's really warm too.
And okay, all right. There's so many questions. Got so many
Yeah.
questions, but let me remind
Let's go,
folks.
let's go.
Let me remind folks. This is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are having a very animated conversation with fashion designer Joseph McRae, having fun as he loves to have. So it's so good. The batting is what holds the structure. Is that right, Joseph?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I tried on a few things when we were at Red Rooster, and I love the shape that you really do create interesting shapes. But you also pointed out that like I'm 5'9", I'm tall, I'm not small. Shorter, small people can wear these same pieces. You do a one size, basically, right?
Well, it's two sizes.
Two, okay,
It's two sizes, but still the idea of like very true size inclusivity. So I have a mini size and then I have a standard as well too. And I create in that space because going back to the beginning for me, I really started making clothes for myself. And I would make stuff that I want to wear and I allow other people to wear it. But I'm 6'3" and I'm 220 pounds. I know everybody is not of that stature. So the sweatshirt is intended to fit a certain way for me. It's super duper big. I have long arms. It goes all the way down. You get a nice bunch, cinch waist. It is a little bit shorter, so you can play with that. But I also created the mini version so that the girl or the guy that is 5'6" or 5'7" can still get the silhouette that would fit on me, but for them. But
right.
then within that, they could wear the standard, which is the size that I would wear, and it would give a completely different look. And I think when we think about true size inclusivity, that's what it is, of something that can really, not that just, okay, maybe it'll work from a 0 to like a 10, that it can really extend across those sizings. And then each person could have their own character into it. And it's super fun when people see it, like how it really works. I had to do a lot of convincing at that pop up, but I'm
I
like, trust
was
me.
very surprised. I'm going to say that because so my mother made my clothes when I was growing up too, because when I was little, I was the tallest, skinniest one. This was way before like you may not know this because you're much younger than me, but there was a brand called Garanimals when my
Yes, yes. And then the color, the labels match, so you know what to
and,
put it
and
with.
also it had buttons, so elastic and buttons, so that you could adjust the waist. That
Uh-huh.
came out after I was a kid. When I came out,
Ah.
none of it existed. So if it was narrow enough for me, then it would be too short. And so my mother made all of my clothes up until I was about 12. But I mean, pretty much. And much like yourself, I was like, thanks, mom. But I wanted to have the clothes that everybody else had, and it wasn't until when I turned 13, I started modeling. And then suddenly, as a model, being skinny was a great thing back then. And so then I could fit the clothes. But fast forward, I'm mentioning that just because you said about your mom making your clothes. But I I have two sisters. My younger sister is much shorter than I am. When we would go, for example, to Ann Taylor, back when like the beginning of your career, and she would go there. I would go in there, nothing, not one thing would fit me because I'm tall. So the sleeves would be like
Sure.
half up my arm. I mean, nothing. And I would just be like, I can't shop in the same place as my sister. And I can tell you all because I tried on these clothes. And again, I'm 5'9". I tried on the mini and I tried on the regular. and both of them fit me in different ways. And I saw people come into the shop who were small, petite women who tried on both sizes. And then we know our friend Marcus Blasingame, who is taller than I am,
Hmm.
he tried on the different sizes. I mean, you're not making it up. They fit
It's real.
a broad cross section of people who normally just, it's if it fits me, it's not going to fit you, and vice versa.
Hmm.
That's
It really
interesting that
does.
you're able to figure that out.
It's the engineering of it.
Yeah, so clearly.
It's
I mean,
true
clearly
problem solving.
it is. So, okay, we're looking at you right now, and you're wearing something that is for the cooler seasons. What I tried on when I was there is for, cool. Actually, I was really pleasantly surprised that the sweatshirt was warm enough that you could even kind of wear it as a coat, and it was ice cold that day.
Hmm.
What do you offer when we get to spring, summer?
So this layer question, the sweatshirt and the stack beanie are my first like officially released products. Um,
Okay.
s- yeah,
This is
yeah, and
at
this is
the beginning. It's
this
and
is
by
at
the
the
way,
beginning.
everybody, this is 10 years in, just to give you a sense if anybody is thinking, I have a dream, but it's taking too long. This is 10 years in, and you're just introducing for consumer sales now. Is that right?
Yes, I did a
Okay.
small launch, maybe a year, maybe a year before. I think that was right before Project Runway. But I've been designing for the 10 years. I think I got my LLC maybe like 2 years ago, and really started transitioning my baby, which was just like a personal space of expression, into like a business, and being very intentional about keeping the message and not sacrificing who or what it is. But to say that. The collection, to answer your question about what
Mhm.
Joseph McRae looks like in the spring, the collection that I did, Bloom 25, will give you more of a Joseph McRae iteration in the spring. So we still have those really large silhouettes, but there are some different like cutouts and shapes, or may not be necessarily like lined with the batting, where it could still build that texture and that volume, but not be so heavy and not so insulated. So there are different ways to like play with that. And you can see that website at the collection is on my website now, josephmccrae.com. But we're releasing the visuals on social media to kind of tell the story behind it. But yeah, but winter is my go time though. I love a good layer. I love a good big. I love a good oversized. I'm here for all of it.
I love that. And you
Yeah.
know what? Smart that as you are transitioning from your personality and getting the image out so people can see what you create, to having just only a few pieces that you are offering to the market, because you're going to have to be able to deliver on those pieces.
Hmm.
So, and right
And
now
I
it's
make
really,
everything myself too. So it's
yeah,
like, it's super fun and really, really exciting to be able to control the narrative and the capacity that I want to. And I think for me, with the way that I have set up my brand, it's like I've gotten a lot of viewership, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I really appreciate that people have seen the journey and they see the brand and they're buying into it. But for me now, it's really about finding my target audience. So when we talk about this transition from like this craft into a brand, like who is Joseph McRae? Like what is the price point? What does that look like? Where are they going to be wearing it? And so now we're doing the work to align with that. And so as we do release products, we're making sure that we're standing true onto what the mission and what the consistency of that audience is. And that's not to exclude anyone or discount anyone, but just to make sure that we're setting up ourselves, setting up myself for success in the trajectory of what the Joseph McRae brand looks like. So
yeah.
we're really intentional about how we're kind of like rolling these things out.
And how did you get to Project Runway? And when were you on Project Runway? For folks who love it, just to give us some context on that one.
So I was on season 21, which we filmed in March of 2025. And then the debut was on July the 31st of 2025. So it just
That's
happened.
right. That's what I
It
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it like baby last year was a
How did,
crazy year.
how did they find you?
So I applied. So one of my followers, or this guy that I follow, he had posted that, oh my goodness, just submitted my application to Project Runway. Like, y'all pray for me. And I was like, hold on, Project Runway. let me do that. I knew someone that was on it before, and I asked them about it, and they said that they thought that was the last season, and so I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. But then I saw it, and I'm like, let me figure this out, find out where it is. I found the application. I ended up like waiting to the last minute to submit the video. I had to do like a minute talking about myself or whatever and upload some pictures of my work. December the 2nd was the last day. I submitted it at like 6 or 7 o'clock. The next day they called me. And then so the
Okay.
third day it called me. I think by the sixth, I had my like first like group interview as far as like with the production team and stuff like that. And then we were filming the following March. So it was a super quick turnaround.
And what was the experience like for you?
Baby, it was so good. It was so good. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, you don't have to end the interview yet. You don't have to end
There
yet.
you go. You can find it and watch it, right?
You can find it and watch it. But for me, it was a really beautiful thing because my strategy and my goal going on that show was to show up authentically as myself, and to allow people to fall in love with me and with my brand. And so, in that capacity, outside of the nuance of like reality TV and kind of the narratives that are not necessarily narratives that are built, but the storyline that is chosen. I was able to show up authentically as me and do those things. So it was great. It was great given the circumstances of what happened. And for that, you got to go watch it.
And it certainly gives you even more exposure because now you're
Yes.
on national TV. It's a popular show that's been around for a long time. How have people reacted to you since they saw you on that show?
Great. Like people see me in the street now and they be like, "Oh my goodness, it's Joseph McRae," but you got to say the first with the last, and I'm like, "Yeah." But no, it's really given light, and that was a super excited thing about me too, because once again, I've been doing this for 10 years, and so it Project Runway was not about me figuring out my brand or figuring out who or what Joseph McRae is. It was simply about bringing eyes onto the work that I have been doing, and within that, it's been super great. But one of the funny things is like people will see me on Project Runway, and I'm like, okay, cool. Do you follow me on Instagram? And they were like, oh no, and I'm like, yo, you have not seen anything then, like you've seen the work on the show, but I've done 10 past full collections, which are available to view on my website. And then, the stories in my social media and stuff like that. So, it has definitely brought eyes and opportunities and exposure to it. So I was really, really grateful about the way that I was presented on the show. So,
That's congratulations. Exposure is everything. It makes a huge
yeah.
difference. And also you get to have practice. And yes, we know the drama of reality TV, and I won't give it away either. Folks, you have to take a look. I think for many people who are listening to you, I think I would bet that it's heartening to them to hear it takes time,
Mhm.
and it takes time to get to the point that you can turn an idea into a business. Over these 10 years, as you have been cultivating your creativity, how have you been able to take care of yourself? You mentioned that you had a job early on. What other kinds of jobs have you done just to be able to live?
So I worked for The Gap for 13 years. Yeah, I
Great.
started in 2010 as a sales associate. And I worked my way up through the company there. I got to the assistant general manager position. I didn't want to be a GM, and that an opportunity arose that they created a position for me at the Gap in Times Square. And so then that was how I was able to get the opportunity to transfer into New York because I've only been here for 3 years. And so,
Were you
well, I
in
guess to
North
not,
Carolina all that time?
yeah,
Wow. Okay, so you were
yeah.
developing your brand at home.
Yeah. Literally just creating and yeah, like literally creating photo shoots, like model cast, like all of that in North Carolina. And so when I moved here in February of 2023, February the 6th of 2023, it was just like Joseph McRae was already like Joseph McRae. And granted, I don't think Virgil Abloh said it. It's like you could take a piece of trash or a cup. I think it was a cup he said, or bottle. It was something, an object or something. You can take it and put it by a trash can and it would resemble a piece of trash. Or you could take it and put it in a museum and it could be a piece of fine art. I have to find the exact one, but it was just that the idea of that displacement. And when we talk about people following their dreams, sometimes it's just as simply as changing the location that you're in, not to change who or what you're doing. And so, not to say that I didn't get anything from North Carolina, it was a great space for me to cultivate and me to be able to fine tune and decide who Joseph McRae is without the external of like, okay, this is New York, this is what's trending, this is what's popping. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was a
Sure.
very beautiful thing, but I very much so brought Joseph McRae to New York, and it was like boom.
You were ready. You weren't figuring it out. You were steeped in
Mm-mm.
Joseph McRae by the time that you came. Okay, guys, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. I can't believe we just have 5 minutes left, but we do. We are talking
Oh,
with
that's
Joseph
it.
McRae. We're talking with Joseph McRae. We've been having a fantastic time. So
Okay.
in these few minutes that we have left, I'm just thinking about when you came here. So this is shortly after the pandemic. So the world is opening up again. When you're coming, people are kind of trying to figure out, who they are, what life is like afresh, because people have been sequestered in their houses for a long time. They certainly weren't buying clothes, and so you make the move to come to New York. What has it been like for you being in New York pursuing your dream?
It's been everything. It's been everything. I know I'm long winded, and so we don't got that much time.
I know.
But
Go ahead.
when I moved here in 2023, February of 2023, September, I had my first show. We did it in Harlem off of 120th block. 3 days after that, I quit my job of 13 years. And since then, it has been nothing but blessings and opportunity. I ended up in Paris for a Paris Fashion Week. And like that same season, 2 years to the date, February the 6th of 2025, I had my debut on the CFDA calendar for New York Fashion Week with Men's Day. And then what was that, March of 2025, I did Project Runway, and like the following September I was on the CFDA calendar again. So that was all in my second year, and now we're entering in the third year, 2023. So it's really been like go, 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 go. But it's really been a beautiful thing of allowing myself to believe enough in myself to take that leap of faith and to continue to push in those times that will be deemed hard, but to not give up and to always show up authentically as me. And it's been more than anything I could have ever asked for.
And what is the plan for the brand for 2026? We've just begun. We're on the runway of 2026. What's the plan?
The plan for Joseph McRae, the word of the year is flourish. Word of the year is flourish. And so it's really about expanding. It's just getting out and more in front of the right people. We're really trying to hone in on that business aspect of it. So getting funders to be able to create more and to expand more, getting a location potentially so that people can come and see the Joseph McRae world in real time, and just continue to create and push it out there and use my gift to take up space and spread love around the world. That's what 2026 is about.
And so you've offered these pieces, which I saw at Red Rooster. Right now, where can people buy? Is it through your website?
Yes, you can go to www.josephmccrae.com. We do have the signature stack beanie in 10 colors and 5 prints. And then we also have the Joseph McRae sweatshirt available in 2 sizes and 9 colors. Now, when you go on my website, you'll see my full collections. But if you want to look into getting a custom done, you can contact through the link on my page, and then we can have that conversation to get you going.
And there's also a bag I saw.
Yes. So that was actually an
A
exclusive
nice
for
bag.
the baby. The Joseph McRae oversized tote is a really beautiful, like tangerine orange, like duffel bag. It's so fun. I have not released that on the website yet, but that is available. And we've done some like images on it, as well as the Widow Bride puffer, which isn't on the website right now. But once again, if you see something you like, let me know.
So the little bride puffer, is that what Marcus had on?
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you who will be able to see this broadcast, I have a photograph of it, so we'll be putting that into this broadcast, so you'll be able to see it. Okay, parting words, Joseph, for young up and coming designers who are needing some inspiration. What do you want to say to them as they're looking to make their dreams come true?
Okay. As you're looking, I would say find the thing that you're good at. Like find your thing. I feel like there's so much influence and so many opinions are in this world right now. When you're in this creative space, it's very important to find like what you want to do. Do you want to be a designer? You want to be a seamstress? You want to be a tailor? You want to add on buttons into jackets or whatever? Find that and then operate in that wholly with great intentions, and everything that you need will be given into you when you operate in your gift.
I love
And
that.
allow yourself to take up space. That's the big one. That's it.
I love that. Allow yourself to take up space. Well, congratulations to you. It's wonderful to talk to you. And it's, you have such positive energy. I think it rubs off on folks. So I hope that as you develop your brand, that you keep that joy because it really is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for your time. Thank you
Of
for allowing the
course.
world to hear my story.
I love it. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. I hope you had as much fun as I did talking to Joseph McRae. He has a wonderful, fun, tight collection, and it's for everybody. Imagine that, male, female, short, tall, whoever you are, it can fit you. That's pretty amazing. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.